Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Anissa and I am the Crafty author, and today we're going to be working on a very fun fall project. We're going to be making a table runner, and I will have all of the instructions and measurements and everything put up on my blog for you so that you can also do this. You're going to work with 4 different fabrics if you're going to do it the same way that I'm doing it, but if you want to do it differently, that's okay too. I will still have all of the measurements and cut amounts that you need for each piece. So if you're going to do it this way, you're going to need 12 pieces of each fabric. So I'm working with 4 different fabrics, and this is what I have so far. And I'm going to stay consistent with that, and then we're going to start sewing these together. We will put a border on. We will do, we'll quilt with it. I had initially wanted to try and quilt this today, but I am feeling really crummy. I have a whole house full of strep people in here, and I think they've given it to me. So, I just wanted to go ahead and get this started though, so that you could work on this over the weekend, and then we will quilt it on Tuesday. This is what I've cut for the binding strips. So I just used some of the fabric that I had already left over, and these are our border strips. And these are at 3.5, these have been cut at 3.5 inches. So, like I said, everything will be on the blog, so it'll make it nice and easy for you to follow. But I wanted to go ahead and get started and just show you how I'm starting to put this all together. All right, so I have my pieces stacked up here, and I'm just going to take this one, this solid colored red, and my truck with pumpkins, that one. And I am going to put these together. Now, I did cut these in advance so that I had everything together. So it probably took me about, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes to cut the squares. So you're gonna make sure that you have it going in the direction that you want it to go in. And since this is a directional pattern, I'm going to put this one on the bottom, and I'm going to put the solid red on top, and then I'm going to sew 1/4 of an inch, just like that. And then I will take my next part. I'm not going to cut my threads just yet, and then I'm going to do this one the same. So I'm going to put my other fabric down, and then I'm going to put my leaf pattern on top, because that's the way I want this to turn out when I go to put it together, and you will see. So let's just go ahead and sew that. And so now you have 2 pieces that are still held together by this little string here, okay? So what this is going to help us do is to put this together. So I am actually going to take my top piece, my red one, and I'm going to flip it open, and I am going to finger press to the darkest side, which is this solid red, just like that, okay? Then I'm going to take this one, and I am going to press it to this side, to the left. I'm just gonna do a quick finger press there with my fingertip or my nail, and then I will, leaving these still attached, will fold that over, and then I will bud up these 2 seams, because now they go together just perfectly because we left that string there. So now they're nice and nested, and you can pin if you want to. So you can use pins or you can use clips. I do recommend using some sort of clip or pin to hold them together. Today I'm working with pins just because I find that pins hold the seams together a little bit better in my opinion. And so you don't have to pin much, but I'm gonna go ahead and start putting these together. I'm gonna back stitch a little bit, and then we're just gonna sew down using our 1/4 inch seam. Okay, and now we are ready to flip this open, and voila. And you're just gonna finger press that open until you get it to the your pressing station, and you can press that all down nice and smooth. And now you can see, and you see how perfectly that all fits together there. It all joins in the middle perfectly. Okay, so we are here and we're ready to start pressing our blocks. So I'm going to be using my wool mat, and I will link down below where you can get one of these. And I'm just going to lay that down there, and I'm using my Rowenta because it gives off great steam, and I really love this for steaming things. So steam those seams, and one of those done. So I'm going to move the rest of these over here, and I'll show you again how I press. I'm not actually ironing, I'm actually pressing the block. So I like to get this nice and pressed. You can also fold it like this first to set the seam, which makes it a little easier sometimes. And then I just use my fingers to push that up. Be careful though, it's very, very hot. And then I just press my iron along those seams. I do the same here, and then I kind of just press the block, just lightly fanning my iron over it. Next, we're going to square up our blocks. So we want to square these up to 10 by 10 squared, 10 inches by 10 inches squared. You can use a regular ruler like this. This is my 6-inch ruler. And then this is a square ruler that we can use as well. So I'm going to show you how to use both. For this one, I'm just going to go on this line here. And I'm going to count over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oops, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this is the line that we're going to line up on our seam, okay? So I'm just going to bring it over here, and I'm going to line up right here on the seam line. And we're going to do that all the way around. So we're going to do that to all 4 sides. And just put that down, line it up, and then we're going to trim it. And then you're going to turn it like so. And again, we're going to find 5 and line up on that line. And we just want to clean this up so that when we go to put our blocks together, that they're going to be, they'll fit nice and perfect. And then we're done. And now you have a perfectly trimmed 10 by 10 inch square. All right, so I'm gonna put this one with the rest of them, and then the next one that we're gonna do, we're going to use a turning mat, which makes things so much easier when you're doing this. And instead of using this ruler, we're gonna use a square ruler. So, we'll get our fabric here. And then it's pretty much the same thing, only we're gonna use, on this ruler, we are going to use, we're gonna come over to the 5 here, and we're gonna go all the way down to 5 on here. So we're gonna intersect right there. And we're gonna line that up on our seam. So it will look like this. And I'm just making sure that I am lined up perfectly here, which I am. And I do like to use a small weight to hold some of this down so that it doesn't get moved, because it's really easy to move when you're cutting. And then I'm just going to cut this excess off and that excess off. Okay, so that's done. And now that we have these two sides done, all we need to do is trim, yes, this and that side. So we're going to just do the same thing that we just did. We're just going to line it up just like that. And our bottom should be right at the 10. This seam should be right on the 5. And that should be right at the 5 as well. And this one should be right at 10. So we should be right on. And now that block is trimmed. Now let's check it and make sure that it's right. So I'm gonna bring this over here, and I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Perfect. And then I'm going to bring this down a little bit because I'm off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's perfect. So those are 2 different ways that you can trim your blocks. So whichever one is easiest for you is the one that I recommend using. You want to lay your blocks out, so you should have 6 for the top row and you should have 6 for the bottom row. And of course my table isn't big enough for all 6, but I'll show you how to lay it out. So this is what you should have. It looks really neat. Really, really neat. So once you have these all laid out, you're going to want to take them over to your sewing machine, and you're just going to stitch them together. So I love this project because it's really good for an advanced sewer, and it's really good for a beginner sewer. So like if you're, you know, just learning how, this is really, really a fun project because you can make something beautiful for your table. And it doesn't have to be super hard. So I'm going to just take my 2 pieces here, and I'm going to nest these 2 seams together. Like that. And I'm just pushing one way and one the other way. See that? And when I go to stitch it, they're all going to line up, all the seams. All right, so now we're going to sew the blocks together. So I just want to show you how I do that. So I just bring the whole stack to the sewing machine with me, and I take one here, and I take the other one here, and I put them right sides facing each other. And then I bud them up to make sure that they're going to nest perfectly. And I just push this bottom one over like that. And then I just bud them up and nest them. Now, you could actually press the seams open if you find that to be easier for you. I just like nesting them, so that's not a big thing for me. But you are certainly, there's no wrong or right way to do it, so you can definitely press those seams open. And then just start stitching down using your 1/4 inch seam. Okay, now I like to do mine when I'm sewing my blocks together here. I like to do them in 2s. And then what I will do is I'll go and I will press them, press the seams, and then I will sew them all together. I just find that it's a little more manageable if you do it like this, instead of just to keep adding the blocks along the row. So I have my squares sewn together, my 2 blocks, and now I'm just going to attach them to the others. So I'm going to put these 2 together first, and again, right sides facing each other, and I'm just going to do what I've been doing here, and I'm going to push this seam here, this bottom one, I'm just going to push that over. And then this one I'm going to leave the way it is, and I'm just going to nest those, bud them up. I'm going to put the pin in. So it's going to be just exactly the same as when you were doing the blocks. Everything is the same. And since we squared everything up, it should all lay very, very nicely. It should all be very even, and you shouldn't have hardly any discrepancies or issues or anything like that. So, all right, so now I'm just going to sew 1/4 inch down. All right, so you should have both of your rows sewn together. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take our 2 pieces and we are going to attach them. So what we want to do is we're going to leave one of them down like that. So you should have one facing straight up at you, and if you're doing diagonal prints like I am, not diagonal, but if you're doing a print that you need to pay attention to, then you'll want to do it this way. So I have this one where the design is facing up at me, and then I'm going to put the other one upside down, right sides facing each other, because when I go to flip this up, then I will have both of my trucks facing up. So you'll be able to see it here and here. So I am going to start pinning these so that I don't lose my place here. But this should be fairly quick and easy to do. It's just like when we were pinning the other pieces, although I will pop some pins in here just to keep this even, because I don't want it to be uneven here on the sides as well. So just gonna put some pins in here to hold it together that way. And then I'm going to continue to go down and I'm going to pin the rest of the 2 panels together here. All right, so now we're going to work on the border fabric. So this is a 3.5 inch cut piece of fabric. We're going to sew it on as the border around the table runner quilt top. And so there's a couple of ways that you can do this. You can either do it the way I'm going to show you, or you can sew them straight across. So you can take your pieces like this, bud them up like this together, right sides facing each other, okay? And then you can just sew straight down. And then you'll open that up and press your seams open, okay? If you're not comfortable with doing what I'm going to show you how to do next, then that is what you'll want to do. How I'm going to be doing this is I'm going to sew this on a diagonal. And I am going to take one of my pieces and lay it flat. And then I'm going to put one of my other pieces face down, coming down towards me. So you'll have one facing up at you, which is the right side up, and then you'll have this one, the second piece, it will go down onto the other piece, right sides facing each other. And then you can take a ruler, or if you have a laser on your machine, and then you're just going to mark it diagonally from corner to corner. Okay, so like that. I'm not sure if you can see that right there. And then I'm just gonna, you can also pin this, so you could put a pin in here. I didn't even pin that. I should have. But you can pin it, and that will hold it in place right here so that it doesn't move. And then I am just going to start stitching right on that line. So you'll see my red thread there. Okay. So now what you want to do is you're going to trim 1/4 of an inch. You're going to trim and leave 1/4 of an inch away from your seam here. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm just going to kind of guess here. It doesn't have to be exact, but and then I'll cut that off, and then I will open up my seam. And this is what I will have. I'll have something that looks like that. So this is how you would attach your border strips. So I do the short ends of the table runner first, and then I'm going to start on the longer ends. Now, when I sewed for the longer ends, I did sew my strips together at on a diagonal. And you don't have to do that. You can sew them straight across. So whichever you're most comfortable with. But then I just cut them off as I get towards the end. And I will show you what I mean by that. So right now I just have it as one big long strip. I sewed all my strips together. You do not have to do that. The end here, so I'm going to sew all the way to the edge here, and I'm going to back stitch, and then I'm going to cut my threads, and then I am going to come back to this part that I just trimmed, and I'm going to fold it up. I want that to be nice and even. So now I will fold this piece like that. And I will take my good scissors and I'm just going to put it in that little pocket that I've created there, and I'm going to trim. And now I'm ready to start on the other side. So I will end up taking this over to the iron when I'm done and pressing. So I hope you enjoyed this quick tutorial on how to make a table runner tabletop topper in less than 2.5 hours. We will be quilting this on Tuesday, so don't forget to subscribe so that you'll get notified when I go and post the new video for that. And everything that I've used in the video, the links are down below in the description box. And keep on crafting. I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.